Finally we reached our goal, the horse station below the pass. And there was Commander Halil. It's a bit like the Wild West out here, and for a moment the atmosphere seemed threatening.
How much does it cost per horse to take a horse over from here in Al-Khawak all the way to Andarat, over the pass?
مگه از اینجا تا خود خواواکه، همون کوتل خواواکه که اسب از اینجا امروز ما بره پس به قیمتش چند است، از اینجا تا اونجا چند است، پس می چند است، چه قسم شما
میگه تو خواواک به چند میبره؟
خواواک میتوان نوریم.
Don't tell me he doesn't know.
یعنی 60 است.
یعنی 60 است. شما مقام.
It's the price of per horse is 60,000 Afghani.
Okay.
But you're our guest. We will give you discount 50,000 Afghani per horse.
That's very kind.
And two armed men will escort you to the top of pass.
That's very kind.
That's for your safety.
Thank you very much indeed. Teshko.
Okay.
We loaded up. Our pack horses took 100 kilos each, the same as Alexander's. His men, though, had to carry their own gear and backpacks. That would get tough at high altitude. All along the route, to my surprise, we saw people. Traders, refugees, families. The Khawak was still the thoroughfare to the north, as it's been throughout history.
چطور کار اینجا خوب است یا خراب است؟
کار خوب است. خوب است.
بسیار پیسه گرفتی؟
That night we ate with the local commander. He recognized our cameraman, Peter, who'd covered the war with the Russians. We were the first Westerners through here since then. On Alexander's march, the Greeks said, the people here had never seen foreigners before.
There's always been discreet about money.
As Arian says, Alexander's mind was now totally concentrated on defeating Bessus. And here on the pass that night, I could almost feel the magnetism of Alexander's leadership and the sheer excitement that his men must have felt marching with him. Next day, the track went higher, the air was thinner, and the land more barren. For us, as no doubt for the Greeks, walking was now an effort. As the crossing went into its second week, they ran out of grain and started killing the pack animals for food. But there was no firewood for cooking, and they had to eat the flesh raw. This they did, says Arian, with the juice of a medicinal plant, silphium.
So can you ask which part of the plant they use for medicine.
کدام قسمت از این بوتا برای دوای طبیعی استفاده میشه برای دوا؟
این از اینجا این از خود از اینیه.
And from
اینجا
the...
گرفته است تا پایین.
Yeah.
این همی.
So you get a juice out of it, do you?
میگه یک قسم شیر هم داره.
شیر داره.
Yeah. And you can use...
این تا با اینجا میباشه، اینجا میباشه، اینجا. مال دیگه شو پیدا میکنه.
We use this for flatulence, stomach pain and swelling.
And for cuts as well, this kind of thing?
برای چوم استفاده میکنه برای زخم و چیزا.
برای چیزی که دم میباشه. اینا که بسته کنی گمش میکنه. پوندیده.
Something with swelling.
It's a tiny detail, but just imagine it. Cold water, raw horse meat, and the bitter juice of the silphium. They were over 11,000 feet now, and the starving troops were suffering from chronic fatigue brought on by altitude sickness. We'd brought few supplies with us, and we took our snacks where we could find them.
They say this is good stuff for long distance travelling. It's dried mulberries compressed together, and it's the kind of dried fruit that the Mujahideen lived on and during the war with the Russians in these mountains. It keeps your energy up.
At such times, Alexander was inspirational. He'd run up and down the column, cheering the men, giving a helping hand, lifting those who'd fallen, unflagging. Just below the summit, there was gunfire. Our guards raced off. There were bandits ahead.
Mike, can you get out of the way? It's dangerous. Come back here. Come here.
میگه چی گپ هستم اینجا خیرت خواسته چی حساب است
دزاستن این پایسا
دشمن دزاستن لیست میکنه دارای یک مواد خوراک و یک مواد در خانه بری پلت این ترای تا میگیره خط لفت کوب میکنه
Here is some highwaymen and robber. They see situation favorable for the robbery and for they here take everything like food stuff and money, everything that we have. Yes, we should be very careful here. Yes.
So we're good targets, in other words.
Yes. Yeah. They carry on arms.
سوال ما که سلاح داشته باشیم غیر ای ما را گرفته میتونه.
چه قسم سلاح دارین نه؟
کلاشینکوف.
Kalashnikov. Yeah, I thought.
Half an hour later, we got the all clear.
Oh, sure.
I think this is it.
Finally, we reached the top and saw the view Alexander's men had seen all those years before.
We're here, Shazad?
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. We made it. The top of the Kawak Pass is about 12,000 feet, and there the road stretching away down to the land of Bactria and former Soviet Central Asia. And around us the mountains of the Hindu Kush. The Greeks knew that these mountains were part of a continuous chain which split Asia in two and was the source of all the great rivers of Asia. And following Alexander's footsteps up here with this wind, you can really feel, whatever you think about him, what an amazing achievement it was to drive an army over these mountains. Nothing stopped him, said the historian Arian. Nothing put him off. He just kept coming on and on, whatever the cold or the starvation. He drove on, and in the end, his enemies were struck with fear at the speed of his advance. I'll bet they were.
Bessus was nowhere to be seen. The gamble had paid off. Just below the summit, a cairn of stones is said to mark the burial place of the Greeks who didn't make it. On the other side of the Hindu Kush, in northern Afghanistan, they found good fishing in the rivers. There were big herds of livestock too. There was plenty of grain here. They could draw breath and fill their bellies. We, though, were still travelling through a civil war. We now had to cross the lands of the local warlord, and there was the tricky matter of a front line to negotiate.
I have a letter from General Harun.
As chance would have it, I'd met the head of the local garrison in London before we set out. He'd written me a letter of introduction to his frontline commanders.
Okay.
You are most welcome to Pulikhumbi.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Okay, I'll wait then.
So we waited. With the fundamentalist armies of the Taliban closing in on Kabul, we weren't too keen to retrace our steps.
Welcome to my country, to my province. It's very nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Very nice to
I
you.
told you when I was in London that I would finally get here.
Welcome to my country. And you can keep this later, you know, for next time if you come.
It'll be a nice souvenir. I'll stick it on my notice board. I'll just get my bag.
Yeah, sure. Oh, come on. Go with your bike.
Okay.
Harun's career has had its ups and downs. He once delivered pizzas in Pennsylvania. Then he was summoned home by the family to a very different life.
At the beginning it was so difficult for me, but now I used to it, you know.
Yeah. You can just be travelling along a quiet country road and you run into some group that you've never heard of who decide they want to kidnap you for a bit.
Of course, yeah. But there's, you know, what I believe that, you know, this time of life is in Afghanistan is more risky than the 16 years ago, than the beginning of the revolution.
Yeah. So is your life in danger frequently here?
Of course, yes. This country, even your life is in danger when you come to this country.
Alexander, though, met no resistance. The people of this part of Bactria, the Greeks said, are prosperous. They grow grapes here and have all manner of fruits. It was a little haven. A warlord's house wasn't quite what I expected, but soldiers are the same everywhere, I guess, for all the guns and high-tech. The Macedonians, perhaps, were much like the Afghans, brave, tough, pious. They lived hard and played hard, like soldiers throughout history. The news that night was gloomy. Rockets were falling on Kabul. We'd got through just in time.
By this morning, they had advanced more than 20 kilometers into the southern outskirts of the capital. Reports from Kabul say the fighting has now eased, but the government forces say they're preparing for a counterattack.